Hey, what's going on guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now in today's video I am covering something that I wanted to do for a while now, and that is rating every single Colossi battle in the first Descendant and telling you if it's cash or if it's trash. So this is my own opinion, so don't quote me on that. But without further ado, let's go. Now I am going to be ranking this from when you unlock it all the way to hard mode, where you have to kill bosses in order to unlock new bosses. Now there are two that I haven't unlocked yet, but from what I saw on YouTube videos, I'm still going to cover them, and I am releasing this right before Season 1 drops for this game. But so far Nexon did a very good job in this game. I really do like it, but enough talk, let's get to the Colossi. So the Colossi can be accessed through two ways. Either you can open up your minimap and see Void Intercept Battles, which is at the bottom left of your minimap. As you can see, there it is, and there's hard mode. However, you can also talk to this man, Cyrus, or Senex. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Seneca. You can talk to Seneca, and as you can see, Void Intercept Battles right here. But let's start off with numero uno, which is Gravewalker. How you unlock Gravewalker is from level 10 if you beat Kingston, all Kingston's main missions. So would I say this boss is cash or trash? When you unlock it, it is pretty cash. I still play against Gravewalker till this day. His patterns aren't the best, but if you have some grindy little weapons you have to do, then this is for you. You also get some descendant things here and there, but overall I would say Gravewalker is mainly used at the beginning for the bunny code. However, I do have to say Gravewalker is cash. Next up on the list is Stunning Beauty, and oh boy, this boss at the very beginning is fucking cash. Obviously, her patterns are pretty neat, as this is where you unlock your first ultimate descendant, I believe, or your first part 4 one. Overall, I would say this boss fight isn't too hard. All you have to really worry about is the little minions. Obviously, you can't get this pattern anymore because there's new mutated AAs, but overall, Stunning Beauty is straight up cash. Next up on the list is going to be the Executioner himself. Now, Executioner at the very beginning, it's fucking trash. I struggled a little bit on him. Before we go any further, Stunning Beauty is unlocked by completing all Sterile Lands main missions, and Executioner is completed by completing all Vespers challenges. Now, the patterns are very forgiving, as you can get some pretty strong weapons early on, and I really like this boss now, mainly because I have maxed out all my weapons at level 100. Not the best damage, but it is maxed, and this is a piece of cake now because it's on normal mode. But from the point where you defeated Vespers and move on to Echo Swamps, I physically can't handle this boss. This boss was an irritation and a half. I had to play public match for this. The previous two I could have just went into private, but overall this boss at the very beginning is trash, but later on it's cash. Moving on from Executioner, we get to the mommy herself, Death Bride. Now, why do I say mommy? Hips. But anyway, very start of the game, overall this boss fight is pretty cash, I'm not gonna lie. Her abilities in her immune state is pretty deadly and not to fuck around with. Overall, the rewards are pretty neat. I would say it's not the things that you would normally want, but some of these things are pretty cool to get. But yeah, boss fight for Death Bride in the beginning, cash. Later on, cash. Now let's move on to the next big hurdle, and that is Devourer. Now, Devourer at the very beginning is trash. Why do I say this? Well, Executioner has a very special kind of ability. When he hits immunity, he like heals himself. Now, I'm not going to go into details too much, but as soon as he hits immunity, you have to destroy these canisters that continuously heal him. And oh, don't worry, if he's full health, he just regenerates his shield. And if you already do shit damage, it's not going to be a good time. So you gotta wait for somebody who is like past it. But overall, the rewards though are very, very forgiving. Like, I got some decent rewards from this boss fight, and I just kept coming back to it. But yeah, overall, Devourer at the very beginning when you unlock it after defeating, I believe it is Agnar Desert? Or no. Now, how you unlock this boss is you have to be done with Agnar Desert, not Echo Swamps because that is Mommy Deathbride herself, but you have to be done with Agnar Desert in order for you to face off against this ass thing at the very beginning. At the beginning, trash, later on, cash. Moving on from the Devourer is the Pyromaniac himself. Now, this is what I imagined Pyro would have been like from Team Fortress 2 if he just turned into a fucking mutant of a beast. Now, this thing is fucking trash to fight against. This thing is the highlight of a rage-inducing boss. And at the level you get this is at level 66, where your weapons are exactly the same level as this monstrosity. Yeah, it's weak against frost damage, but your resistance, always get this resistance because holy, this thing is annoying to fight against. However, the rewards for it is pretty cash, I'm not gonna lie. I haven't faced off against him too much, but I do know it gives off some neat little rewards. But overall, the beginning match, trash. Later on, cash. Now let's move on to what I would imagine if Gravewalker has slept for 500 years, then suddenly developed a poisonous attack because he was pheromone maxing. Now, this boss fight at the beginning, trash. I do not like this boss in the slightest. People say it's easy, and it is. It's just the whole poison effect that it gives off that annoys me to the point where I want to throw my controller out the way. Overall, rewards are pretty cash, I'm not gonna lie. Mostly, the higher you go, the more valuable rewards get. But this boss fight is so trash at the beginning, but later on, it's cash. But here we start to get into the hardest boss battles you'll ever get. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Hangman. One of, if not the hardest things to do in the game. Now, after running through Fortress and completing the main storyline, you will unlock Hangman's Battle. Now, this is a battle of coordination. You have to cooperate with your teammates because you can't take it on private. You have to play in public matches with this thing because you will have to need a teammate to grab a vial in the middle, run around while the others damage this little tiny thing in his mouth. And holy shit, this boss fight is absolute cash. Don't take it any other way, right? This boss fight is so hard. But the reason why I'm not saying it's trash is because of the whole gimmick that you have to go through. This boss fight is cash. The rewards are cash. These rewards are pretty good. And it shows. It's pretty decent rewards. But the boss fight, cash. Later on, still cash. Because now we are moving towards the more difficult ones. Ladies and gentlemen, meet hard mode. And these things are not very nice. Mainly because your weapons cap out at max 100. And as you can see, this Executioner, level 102, level 106 for Deathbride, all the way up to Gluttony, the hardest boss so far before Season 1. But let's start off from the beginning. Executioner. Cash. If you have teammates or friends that play with you, this boss fight is pretty cash. I'm not gonna lie. Fighting against the thing is basically just like normal mode, but he went to the gym and used steroids a lot. Obviously only 4 patents, but your chances and likelihood of getting some neat rewards are higher. But overall, this boss fight, pretty cash. Later on, doesn't matter, still cash. Next up, Mommy Death Bride. Obviously, cash boss fight, however very difficult to do. Mainly because, as I said before, for Executioner, normal mode, but it's like she went to the gym and used steroids. Obviously, some decent rewards, nothing too good, nothing too great, but there are some things that are pretty cash in a reward pool. Next up, Devourer. And don't get me wrong, if you use electric damage against hard mode Devourer, this boss fight is pretty cash. Why do I say this one is cash and normal mode is trash? Well, in normal mode, you don't have access to level 100. You only have access to the max capacity that you have to kill Devourer with. Where in hard mode, you can buff up your weapon so much that an entire team will just wipe out this thing in 2 minutes. Obviously, rewards are pretty standard, pretty cool, pretty neat. But overall, Devourer hard, pretty cash. Next up on our list is going to be Pyromaniac. Obviously, like I said with the previous two. However, this boss fight is pretty cash, I'm not gonna lie. Yep, you heard me right, this boss fight's cash. It wasn't that hard to destroy him, it was mainly just a focus on whether he's going to hit immunity and you just have to run for your life. But this boss fight, overall, pretty cash. But yeah, now let's move on to where things get a little bit more difficult. And I'm talking about this bitch. This bitch is so much pain, let me tell you. It's like normal mode, but steroids, and I mean a lot of steroids. Basically, Swamp Walker just increases its damage, and just gets more annoying as the fight goes on. But overall, at the beginning, still trash, and normal mode, still trash. But later on, gets kind of cash at normal mode, but hard mode, still trash. Now let's move on to Obstructor, also known as this thing. It's basically Executioner if he was a Vulgus, I would say. This thing, the battle is pretty cash. I'm not gonna lie, the battle is pretty cash. If you have a team that actually coordinates with you, this thing is pretty cash. The rewards, pretty good, pretty great, I'm not gonna lie. Obviously, pretty solid rewards, pretty cash. But this boss fight took me at least like 5 minutes to complete with my team. Overall, not hard if you have communication and know what to do with it. But moving on to the thing that will always stay trash in this entire game, and that is Frostwalker. Mainly because this thing thinks he's in a fucking anime and thinks he can annihilate every single thing that's in his path. Basically what you have to do is you have to damage him, and he drops these little fire orbs, and you have to time it just right, because there is an attack he does where it insta-kills your entire squad, just like Hangman, as well as later on bosses, or even Obstacle, or whatever his name is. What's his name again? Obstruction, or Obstructor. It's just like Obstructor's immune kill, insta-kill thing, whatever. But this thing is just so fucking annoying because it freezes your entire team and you can't do anything. Like, if you collect all of those fire orbs and he freezes you, yeah, it's done for. He just basically jumps up into the air, and as soon as he lands, your whole entire squad is fucked. Basically, collect 5 fire orbs, and then you would be good. But you have to stay in the circle of the person that collected 5. But this thing takes so much coordination and communication that it will forever stay trash. Like, no matter what they do, nerf, buff, whatever, this thing will always stay trash. I hate this thing. But let's move on to the Ninja Turtle that could literally solo Master Splinter. Molten Fortress. Now this thing I have not killed yet, as you can see. However, this thing is apparently pretty hard to do. But I would say from the videos I saw, I think this thing would be pretty cash. Like, I would say it's pretty cash. Like, its abilities are cool, the way you can grapple onto him because he has a bigger hitbox radius is pretty cool. It's just something to fight that gives you so much decent rewards. But overall, this boss fight, pretty cash. Then, the final boss before Season 1 drops, Gluttony. Now, I can't enter Gluttony because I haven't completed Molten Fortress yet, but overall, I hear Gluttony is the hardest thing to kill so far, mainly because your communication has to be 101% at all times. So this boss fight I'm going to rank at pretty trash. Why? Because every time I watch a video, people are dying left, right, and center because of this thing. Say they see Gluttony in their nightmares, in their wildest nightmare fantasy dreams, killing them left, right, and center. So, for that, from all the things I've heard, Gluttony, you are trash. But yeah guys, that's gonna do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you want to see a first descendant, me ranking every single descendant, whether they're cash or trash, then please leave a like and yeah, subscribe. But that's gonna do it for this video guys. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Bye!